So, welcome to my shop. So in this video, I'm going to give you a little bit of a tour of my shop. So the reason that I've waited up until now to do this video is because I've done a lot to the shop over the last couple weeks, and I basically wanted to wait till after I got all that stuff done to come out here and film a proper tour of the shop for you guys. So really quickly, I want to kind of give you an idea as to what kind of layout I'm in right now. So as you can see behind me, this is a 3-car garage, and this is a house obviously. And I keep my shop here in the 3rd-car garage. Both my parents park their cars right here, and the benefit of that is that then when I want to film something or I just need some space to roll out a larger tool, I have the ability to just pull out these cars and I have all this free space back here. And what I can do is I can just pull this car out right here and I have all this free space right here.
That's good.
So this door right here is the main door that I use when I come out here into the shop. I also have this side door that goes out into the backyard. So I also have a trash can here, and we also have a fridge right here, water heater right there. But the cool thing is the sign. And this sign was made by my sister probably, I don't know, 6 or 7 months ago. And she made that for me when I was able to actually make it look like a shop out here, and she's like, oh, why don't I make you a sign? And she did. I love it. It fits perfectly out here, and I just decided to hang it above the store because I think it looks good. So this whole section I've really thought out. So the newest addition that I've added is this big tool wall where I keep a lot of the main tools that I use pretty frequently out here. I have all sorts of stuff on this. If you haven't seen this, I have a few videos on going through the process of making this. So if you want to see an in-depth of that, you can go check that out. But I also have this really solid workbench, and I have a few tools on here. And to give you a few dimensions, it's a 6-foot long table and 41 inches high. And I'm 6'4". I think that is pretty freaking tall. And that is the reason why it is 41 inches. Obviously, if you're shorter, you should probably bring it down lower. This for me is really solid, it's good, and that's just the height that I like. And I made this crosscut sled a couple weeks ago, and I haven't really found a perfect spot for it yet, but this is just the spot that I keep it in for now. And also I have my small 10-inch Craftsman drill press. This thing is perfect for me. It really hasn't failed me at any point. It's a pretty good quality one, and it's nice, compact, and it fits on the table. And I also have a small Machinist Vise here. I think this is a Pony brand. I think that's what it is. And this is really nice. I can also do some smaller pounding and hammering down there. That's really good for some small things that I've needed in the past. And then down below, this is something that I'm not super proud of, but this section right here is where I have all of my cords hanging, kind of button them up a little bit using some zip ties, and that works. You know, I'm okay with that, but it could be better. I'll probably fix that eventually. It's really not a big issue right now. And I also have some parts for my bandsaw. This is just a small miter gauge and a fence. I really don't use those that much. And also right here, I have my miter box. It fits right there, and it's out of the way. Down here, this is another thing I'm really not proud of, but you know, I got some zip ties and pretty much some other junk in there. This is where I keep all of my smaller pieces of scrap wood that don't fit up in my lumber rack. And I try to categorize these things. So like in this first one, I have smaller offcuts. These are pretty medium sized, I guess. You know, this kind of thing isn't really something I try to focus on all that much. I just try to keep it a little bit organized, so if I know I have a scrap piece, I can obviously come in here and find it. And also down below this workbench, I actually keep some larger sheets of melamine that I have. I got these for really cheap off of Craigslist, and I'll probably use them for something in the future. So one of the other things that I'm really happy that I did was I moved my bandsaw from here over into this center part. Originally I had my bandsaw sitting here, and ever since I filmed my video on building this tool wall, I took the bandsaw down so I could get a lot of shots in this direction, and I'm like, you know what, I really like this. I was able to keep all sorts of stuff on the table right here, and you know, I can go around like this and not have to worry about the table being right here. So I decided to find a spot for that, and that brings us over into the middle section. So when you walk out here, you have your nice welcome mat, and I like to stand on that when I'm using my miter saw. And this miter saw is a Craftsman 10-inch sliding compound miter saw. That was a handful of words and I'm surprised I got that. Yeah, this is actually my old bandsaw cart. I used to keep my bandsaw on this, I don't know, probably 8 or 9 months ago, and now it's a miter saw station. You can see this was a piece of plywood here, and I just stacked up some pieces of melamine. And the reason for that is this now, or not this, but this surface right here, where the piece of wood sits, is the exact height as this bench. So if I need to cut something really long, I have the ability to move all the crap off of there and cut the long board without it tipping over. And I really like that. I've used that a number of times. And down below, let me get some light in here. There we go. This is where I keep all of my sanding stuff. Also down in here, I have a grinder, a sander, skill saw. So moving on, I have my scrap wood bin right here, and a lot of this stuff is burned. I know some of you guys aren't gonna like that because you're like, oh, that's gonna be so wasteful, what are you doing? Don't get me wrong though, I do use a lot of my scrap wood, and I oftentimes found myself grabbing a piece of scrap wood in there to use for a project, and this bin actually tucks in there pretty nice underneath my workbench. And moving on, this is where I am now keeping my bandsaw. Since moved it over here onto this. Yeah, this is my very first workbench that I ever got. Got this probably when I was like 8 or 9. And also I keep some longer scrap wood in there. I also threw a piece of OSB on there just to make it a little bit more sturdy before I put the bandsaw on there. So moving on, this is my main workbench that I use. I built this about a year ago, and ever since I built it, I've been very happy with it. It's super nice and sturdy. And right here I have an old Wilton Vise that I got off of eBay. I use it almost every single day when I'm out here working on something. And then right here I have my table saw, and down below that, this is where I keep a lot of my non-woodworking tools, I guess you could say, mechanic-y type stuff, and you know, screwdrivers, pliers, wrenches. I grab all sorts of stuff in here for my drill, and Allen wrenches, all that kind of stuff I keep in there. And I know someone's gonna ask about these big box of bottles. That's really all it is, and you can turn those in for money. You can recycle those, whatever. I also keep a little step stool, and also underneath the bench I keep a stool under here, and whenever I'm working on something really detailed or for a long period of time beneath there, and it passes underneath the apron of the bench. So moving on from that, I have my Delta contractor's table saw, 10-inch blade, obviously, runs on 110, so you don't need any special power. The main thing they say about this saw is the fence. I love this T-style fence, whatever they call it, and I built this kind of side table out of plywood and some oak. Also down here I have a extension because I am a pretty tall dude, so my workbench also doubles as an outfeed table, and that is really nice. You know, you're kind of killing two birds with one stone here. So after I raised the table saw up, I think I raised it, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches probably. That is one of the main things that I'm really proud of out here. It's a lot more efficient and it doesn't really sacrifice a whole lot. So back behind here, there's just a bunch of miscellaneous things. The main thing back here is the jointer. This is a Grizzly 8-inch wide joiner, extra extended beds. I really like that for long stuff. And I also have the Shopsmith and parts down here, and got skateboard, scooter. This is my lumber rack up here. Pieces of plywood and some cardboard for when I'm spray painting something. Extension cords, shop vac, broom. And moving on from that, this is where I have my disc sander. I actually got from one of my friend's grandparents. He was a woodworker, mainly a turner actually, and he decided to give this to me. And that brings us to the last part right here. This is just a stack-on cabinet unit, and I keep all sorts of screws, nails, and hardware in here. And up above I keep a lot of the common stuff that I use: Windex, glue, WD-40, spray paints back there, and I also have a roll of towels right there, and just some everyday things that I use. And I almost forgot, this right here is the clamp rack that I just finished completing. I have about 12 pipe clamps and one other larger quick grip clamp. I actually said that right. This is something I just previously built. If you haven't seen the video on this, you should really go check that out. I enjoyed making that video. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. So that is pretty much my shop in its entirety. So obviously your shop is subject to change. For me, this is really efficient, the layout that I have right now, but most likely it will change in the near future probably. So if you're like me and you don't have a whole lot of space to do your hobbies or woodworking or whatever it is, I'd really encourage you to get out there and clean and organize and try to make it as efficient as possible. For me, this layout that I have out here is the most efficient that I've found for me right now. So this week I actually had a pretty interesting week, I guess you could say the least. The worst thing happened to me. I actually dropped my camera over the weekend. I was in the middle of filming a video, fell off the tripod and onto the ground. Nothing too bad happened to the camera. They call it a hot shoe. That part actually got bent and it broke off. So yeah, so as you can see right now, me and my dad actually took the camera apart and we were able to get to the source, and right here you can see where the hot shoe is, and we were able to take that off, fix it, and put it back in. We actually did this over the course of a couple days because we really couldn't figure out just what was wrong with it. We did a lot of research. A couple days ago I was able to get my camera back and I filmed the video on the clamp rack. So I guess the thing to learn from this, I just need to take things slow and not be rushed. So yeah, that is pretty much going to wrap up this video. I don't quite know how long it is. I'm sorry if it was a lot of information coming at you. I just wanted to share it with you. I hope you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed it, I'd love to have you subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Also, hit that like button. It really helps me out. And if you have a question about something else here in the shop that I really didn't go in depth and you have a question about, leave that down in the comments and I will try to get back to you. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have for this one, and I will see you guys in the next video.